This is big breaking emergency news. We just got a warning from federal officials of, quote, coordinated attacks inside, quote, the homeland. All right, that's what they're warning of right now. Top federal officials are warning the American people that we could see attacks inside the U.S. homeland. And look at all the things that are going on right now in our country. These attacks seem to be already happening. It seems like there already are coordinated attacks and coordinated events, coordinated disruptions, riots. All these things are going on in our country right now. And they are warning that we could have an even bigger coordinated event. All right, so let's dive into the news here really quick. Please hit that like, hit that subscribe. I'm posting multiple videos a day, keeping you guys updated, and it helps to get these urgent warnings out. All right, so this warning was just issued today by the FBI, right? You can see here, this was a interview that was just put out today, and the FBI is warning the director, and he was saying, quote, "We are increasingly concerned about the potential of a coordinated attack here in the homeland." All right, so I want you to listen to what he said really quick. This is urgent, and everyone should be prepared for something big like this. You can see this just came out April 23rd tonight. This is what's playing on NBC Nightly News. All right.
Have you ever seen a threat environment quite like the one we're experiencing?
As I look back over my career in law enforcement, I'm hard-pressed to come up with a time where I've seen so many different threats all elevated all at the same time, whether it's the threats from China, Russia, Iran, the terrorism threats, both foreign terrorist threats and domestic terrorist threats.
Among his pressing worries, says the FBI director, is the spillover from the Israel-Hamas conflict.
So we thought that even before October 7th, if you and I were having this conversation then, we would have said that the terrorism threat was already elevated. But post-October 7th, it's gone to a whole nother level.
There's an environment right now we're seeing play out on some college campuses, the protests over what's happening in Gaza. Are you watching that warily?
Well, of course, demonstrations themselves are not something that we, the FBI, get involved in. But when violence ensues, that's when we get concerned, when you have threats of violence. And so we have seen, even before October 7th, we saw a significant increase, especially in anti-Semitic threats and anti-Semitic violence.
Are you actively monitoring these protests?
We don't monitor protests, but we do share intelligence about specific threats of violence.
Congress is on the verge of passing legislation.
All right, so you heard that there. He is warning that he's never seen the threat level at a higher level. And he also went on to say this. And you can see here it says Wray reiterated comments he has made recently, underscoring that the threat from terror since October 7th is as high as it has been in some time, especially from lone actors or small groups radicalized at home by the war. He said, but there's also elevated fears about a coordinated attack in a public place, a prospect that for the last decade has been seen by intelligence officials as extremely remote. All right, so this hasn't been something that we've normally been worried about the past decade, they're saying, but now all of a sudden we have to worry about these threats. He said, quote, "We are increasingly concerned about the potential for some kind of coordinated attack here in the homeland, which may not be that different from what you saw against a concert hall in Russia a few weeks ago from Islamic groups," right? That's what the FBI director just said on live television on NBC News. Okay, so this is big. These warnings are going out, and they're saying that they haven't been at this heightened threat level in decades. So we need to be on red alert for these situations to be potentially taken advantage of. All right, there's societal chaos and societal decay taking place in our country. Our border is wide open. Our country is wide open. And we are going to potentially see foreign groups take advantage of this situation, move into our country, and plan and coordinate these attacks. He's saying coordinated attacks in the homeland. All right, so that's big, and we've already been seeing these attacks, all these fires. If you've been watching my videos the past week, there's been insane amounts of attacks. There's been cell phone outages. There's been cables cut. There's been cyber attacks potentially on cell phone providers like AT&T. All right, there's been riots going on. There's been fires shutting down data centers, okay, which are the backbone of our internet. Data centers are part of the critical infrastructure of our country, the supply chain and the internet. We need them. We need these data centers and these major server centers to process all the websites, keep them running, like YouTube right here. It takes massive servers, and we saw a major fire at one just yesterday outside Washington, D.C. All right, all these attacks are already happening. They're already happening, and it seems like they already are coordinated, but we just haven't seen direct human loss of life from this. But we're seeing loss of businesses, loss of critical infrastructure, all these things. There was also a cold storage that stores food burnt down just yesterday as well. All this stuff's happening. The country is already under attack, and now we're going to potentially see an attack like this, like we saw in Russia, where there were hundreds of people that very tragically lost their lives. All right, so let's hope and pray we don't see anything like this. Pray for peace, guys, around the world and in the United States, because it's critical. We need it right now. We need peace. We need strength and peace in our country desperately to stop what's going on. All right, so please hit it up for me down there. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. It helps to get this warning out so people know what's going on. This is top level. This means they're on high alert, and it also means we need to be on high alert, because there could be something going on. Could be something going on in the background. Could be situations being taken advantage of, because everything's wide open. And we could see cyber attacks cause disruption and even destruction inside the United States. I covered this last week, all right, but it's been hitting the news. This was just released that a town in Texas had their water systems cyber attacked, right? And they were allowed to take over the water tower, and they kept filling the water tower and overflowed it. And they were trying to flood this town out, this small town in Texas, right? So these attacks are already happening constantly. There were multiple water systems that were attacked last year as well in Pennsylvania, Ohio. This was like last November or December. There were multiple water systems that were hit, right? So this stuff, these attacks are already happening. And check this out, all right? There was also an attack, a massive cyber attack is causing disruptions across France right now as well too, okay? It says a, quote, large-scale cyber attack has taken down local government services in several French municipalities since the night of Tuesday, April 9th. It says local media reported that workers who reported to work on Wednesday were instructed not to switch on their computers or use their devices. And you can see here it's disrupting multiple different towns, counties, cities in France. And it says it took down business systems, emails, phone lines, and forced the impacted local authorities to communicate via social media and websites, right? And what did we just see in the US? Nationwide 911 outages. You remember that? Just last week, I was reporting on it, and this is still going on. Multiple different states are still dealing with this and having outages, and it seems like AT&T is being affected the most by this. Same thing's happening in France right now. What do you know? What a coincidence, right? These attacks are happening, and they would go together in coordination. Okay, I've been saying this for years, that there's going to be a cyber attack on the emergency services, on the hospitals, and 911 law enforcement. At the same time, there's a physical kinetic attack, like they're warning of a attack on the homeland, a coordinated attack. These things are going to go together. Okay, think about it. Because now nobody can respond. Nobody can go to the hospital. Nobody can even call the police to get him over there. And they don't even know what's going on for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, until somebody sees it and they have to call it in on a different radio. Okay, so this is part of it all. They're activating these switches, and we could see a big event like this, and that's what the FBI director is even warning of. And he also went on to give a warning about what could happen in a potential World War III scenario, which we are getting closer to every day, it seems like. Right? He said he assessed that China, Russia, and Iran may seek to interfere in the upcoming election, and that all three countries continue to conduct cyber espionage and offensive cyber operations against the United States. China, he said, is positioning itself to be able to knock out critical infrastructure in the event the U.S. seeks to defend Taiwan from a Chinese invasion. Right? He said Chinese cyber bombs planted on critical infrastructure would, quote, allow them to induce panic or break America's will to resist in something like, let's say, an effort by the Chinese government to move on Taiwan. All right, so that's something that we need to think about as well. These situations are escalating overseas, and we could see these situations exploited as well by bad actors. And there are things even potentially spoofing events where it could look like it's coming from one country and it's actually coming from a different country. Right? So this could cause chaos. This could cause panic. This is right. And they could say, we think it's China doing it, when it's actually a different country. It's actually North Korea that's spoofing to make it look like it's China, right? Or any other combination. The U.S. has advanced cyber capabilities as well. So this is the territory that we're moving in towards. Make sure you guys are getting prepared, getting stocked up, getting ready, and have alternative forms of communication, of power, everything, right? You can be on the grid, but have a generator. Have some type of solar as well, so you have some type of power in case it hits the fan. You can still plug in your phone, charge your phone. Hopefully the towers are still up. Have some type of satellite phone or satellite internet communications, right? That's going to be critical as well if we see a grid down. If you can run your generator and plug your satellite internet into it, or your sat phone, then that's going to potentially allow you to connect and see what's going on, as long as the satellite systems haven't been knocked out as well, which is a possibility. All right, so thank you guys. Please get prepared. Please stay safe. Please get started on your preps. All right, even if it's just buying an extra couple cans of meat and vegetables at the grocery store this week. Just do something, spending $5 a week on some extra preps, $10 a week with inflation, right? That's going to build up over time, and eventually you will have a nice little prepper pantry going. All right, so thank you guys. I hope you have big blessings for your life, your family, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.